I'm happy to be here. I've wanted to be on the Jew function for a long time and speak with you guys.
There's always a small group that initiates a bigger change.
I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm anti-Torah.
Because you and everyone else is reading the book and thinking that it says one thing.
What is happening? Can we actually erase all the books? No.
And it's not just Jewish people who suffered.
I thought Christians should be thanking Jews for killing Jesus.
Endless energy, and yet all of us are empty and suffering.
What's your end goal? Like, what are you after him?
Why did he choose you to be hated?
He's a religious critic, but he's also the creator and host of No More News.
I'm after the truth, really.
I'm actually delighted to invite Adam Green. Adam.
The Jews saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was. All things are mortal but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. What is the secret of his immortality?
I grew up Christian.
Christian,
and
okay.
yes, non-Jewish Christian, but Christians really is the kind of just their own form of Judaism, really, following the Hebrew Moshiach. Right?
Oh, jumping right into well,
Christians think that they're the true spiritual Jews, and that they're the new Israel and all these things. And but I never really believed it. They did indoctrinate me to believe in the God of Israel, and I was fearful of hell if I said that I didn't believe it. But the baptisms and the rituals like the Eucharist and the cannibalism, I always thought it was hokey and like cult initiation rituals, and I didn't buy the whole scapegoat sacrifice and the power of the blood to heal us so we don't go to hell. So I was never really a believer, but my family was, and that's a lot of what motivates me to break down the Judeo-Christianity that has dominated the West. And really the world. The Abrahamic faith dominated the world the last 2,000 years.
So I'm curious, just so I get into your head a little bit. So you wake up one morning, when, how old are you? And you're saying to yourself, I got to figure out this whole Judeo-Christian thing, or, the Jews' place in it. And like, when does that happen? What triggers it? Or maybe it's just like a slow onset? How does it play out? If you can clue us in.
It kind of happened slowly once I got by the time I was finishing high school, YouTube popped up and I was watching like kind of atheist debates and deprogramming myself from the indoctrination I was raised with. And then I started getting into politics and then a little bit into conspiracies. And of course, there's, as they say, anti-Semitism is at the heart of every conspiracy theory. So I started investigating Zionism, but really I got immersed in basically like your typical conspiracy theory Christian anti-Semitism at first. But I always thought it was ridiculous, these Christians hating Jews because they supposedly killed Jesus. I didn't believe that. I thought Jesus was a myth, or I thought that it's ridiculous that I thought Christians should be thanking Jews for killing Jesus, because without that, the divine sacrifice, how would they even be saved? So I thought it was ridiculous. And eventually I went from just criticizing pro-Zionist Christians to all Christians. Now I consider all Christians Zionist by my definition, because they believe in Zion. They worship the God that dwells in Zion. They follow Jesus, which they believe is the law that must come forth from Zion. So that's where I'm at now, just criticizing all of Christianity as basically their way of Judaizing the world, like Maimonides says, preparing the world for the Messianic age.
But you yourself right now, you still see yourself as a Christian in this whole?
No, I'm rejecting Adam Green, my Hebrew God-given birth name, and I'm going by
very
Thor
Jewish
Odysee
name, Adam.
now.
Oh,
it's such a Jewish name, and this is why. Go ahead, Seth.
It's sometimes like, Adam Goldberg would have been like the only step to go further than Adam Green. It's like you're almost.
Yeah, and this is part of what makes me sympathize with Christian anti-Semitism to Jews, is that I'm not Jewish, but because I'm a critic of, I say Jesus is a myth, he's a deception. I say stop worshiping and bowing before the foreign God of Israel. These Christian anti-Semites are constantly attacking me online. I get attacked more by Christians actually than Jews nowadays. And they say, you're a secret Jew, you work for Mossad, you're a Christ killer, you're a devil, look at his ears, look at his Jewish nose, he dyes his hair. Just atrocious, vile behavior from these people. And I really think that they're radicalized and depraved. But I get trolled a lot that I'm a secret Jewish person, even though I show my DNA. I'm 6'4", I have blonde hair and blue eyes. I'm 100%
No, it's
Northwest
nice.
European.
It's nice though that, I mean, it's not nice that you have to deal with that, but it's the what it I think the benefit of it though is that you can from that kind of understand what we're dealing with also, and say like, because we also feel that within all this there's some kernel of truth that we want to get to, but there's so much confusion and bullshit around it that are like, for example, the people who are criticizing you may be the intelligent ones among them, have some point that they want to get to, but around every group there's many, all this other bullshit that you feel that now. So you can imagine that if 100 people are attacking us or attacking Jews, so probably 5 of them have a really good point, and maybe 10 of them are following the 5, but then like, the other 90, it's probably a lot of this, like they're saying to you, you're a Mossad agent, you're dyeing your hair and all that. So we always on our, I'm sure you heard it, we kind of distinguish between like the thug level anti-Semite, just out on the street looking to kick someone's ass, and like the ones who like thought this through and like, well, there's a real problem here. Let's like try and figure out what's going on because something doesn't make sense here.
Well, so I'm curious about that. Exactly about that. I mean, what first, like, I'll start with the end. Like what's your end goal in all of this? And you're pretty. I mean, you're doing your shows regularly. You're you're really invested in it. I saw some of the stuff. Like what are you after? I'm curious.
I'm after the truth, really. This is my own journey, I'm researching what I find interesting, and then I make videos presenting what I've learned. That's basically what I'm doing. So I'm on this path. I've been investigating Judaism and Kabbalah. I just got, right after I had you guys on, like right away, Seth sent me his 2 books, Jew, The Antidote to Anti-Semitism, and You Are Here. I read them both yesterday. And, I've been doing a lot of reading. I listen to audibles all the time. Like I got Gershom Scholem's Messianic Ideas in Judaism. He's like the top scholar in Israel on Kabbalah. Kabbalah by Gershom Scholem, also another thick one I read. One of the top 17th century Kabbalist, Gaon of Vilna, his 2-part books. Just wanted to share, let your audience know where I'm coming from, because there definitely is rational, quote unquote, anti-Semitism, which I hate that word. I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm anti-Yahweh. I'm anti-Torah, which, does that make me an anti-Semite?
Well, we don't know.
Is it Torah?
We don't know what you mean when you say Yahweh and when you say Torah, because we have a feeling it's probably not what we're talking about.
Yeah. And when you say Torah, is it the just, are you anti the dogmatic approach thing, or is it just the whole idea of that there is maybe some higher force and there's maybe some sort of a relationship with it? Like where's
I'm not against the idea of a higher force. I'm against the idea of half of the world deciding that this one small group, this nation of priests, is the only people that can speak for this voice and tell you what he says and what he wants. That's where I have the problem with it.
Okay, so this is actually a very important point, because this was something that I struggled with also growing up in Israel. It was like what's all the fuss about? I didn't understand, when you grow in Israel, and up until recently, I think the last few years maybe have changed that, but for the most part, everybody was like, what do you want? Like, what are you on about? We're just regular people. We're just doing our thing, coming up with ideas, going to the world, doing what we do. It's like a free for all, right? Nobody really took that sort of that title seriously in the among non-religious Jews.
Mm-hmm.
And so
non-religious Jews in Israel pretty much don't like the religious Jews in Israel.
Yeah, and now more than ever, and they also resent this sort of unique status, this special status bestowed on them by others, right? It's like, no, we're just like everyone else. The funny thing, though, the thing that kind of got us, Seth and I going, is that it was almost like, it was almost like ironic how this whole thing happened. It's almost like someone in school starts to say, "Hey, this dude, he's, he's so and so," and then everybody starts talking about it, and pretty soon, you're like, you can't do anything about it. Everybody talks about you being something, right? And it's kind of like, it's like that, but on a historic level, for thousands of years. So it's almost like, was it planned? No, it's almost like an inevitable part of what's happening in nature. And just to say, hey, wake up from that. I saw that it wasn't working. So that's when we decided to figure out, okay, maybe there is something going on here, but what? Right?
I don't think it's a law of nature. I don't think anti-Semitism is a law of nature. That's my big disagreement that I have with you guys. If the Torah and all of the books related to the Torah were disappeared and we restarted civilization, there wouldn't be this segregation, this
right.
in-group, out-group with Jews and non-Jews. It's completely dependent from the Torah.
You're right, but here's the thing. Here's the point where we started to kind of take it seriously. We sort of stopped saying what if, because it's a rabbit hole. You can go down this road, like, what if this, what if that, what if Hitler wasn't born, or if Jesus was, what I mean? Like, you can play this game forever. It's a great party game, but the reality is, right now, 2023, right? What is happening? Can we actually erase all the books? No. Can you reprogram what people think? No. It's almost like it's like an inevitable. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will. Whether it was given by
term a lot,
right? But whether it was given by some god or not, whoever started this thing, I don't know if it was a person or not. Whatever. Don't even say laws of nature like we say. Don't. But just, it's a fact of life. There is a sentiment running through humans all over the world, even in the weirdest places that have never seen Jews. They have that sentiment that Jews are somehow responsible for shit, right? That's like it's ingrained in people almost. So the question is, what do we do with it? That's what kind of got us going. Like, what do we do with it?
Well, you asked what my goal was, and I think to get the de-radicalize the religious extremists, for one, get people to stop believing dogmatically into ancient books, because of course there's always going to be group conflict and competition over resources and differences between people. But because of religion, the Abrahamic faiths, it's like there's three branches, and it's almost like the Torah has created this problem, and you guys are saying the solution is more Torah. That's kind of been like the solution for Jews throughout history. Is we were punished through Esau, the Gentile nations, and it's because we weren't following the Torah enough. So we need to come back to the Torah. We need to understand the inner secrets of the Torah.
How do you take a monkey and make a
say savage person? Don't say monkey. Monkey may be too much of a leap. Just say savages. Let's say you had a group of savages, right?
No, but then also people don't understand what savage. I'm saying, okay, well, how do you take dust? How do you take dirt? How do you take mud and give yourself a few billion years and turn it into an ideal situation, right? That mud keeps developing. Eventually it turns into some kind of plant, eventually turns into some kind of animal, and eventually puts on clothes, builds an air conditioner, and makes the internet. Like, how do you get the mud to, how do you span these couple billion years and get to a good goal? And of course it's going to be messy the whole way there. So just because people totally misinterpret everything, right? Because you and everyone else is reading the book and thinking that it says one thing, thinking that it means something. When you say Yahweh to Leo and I, you're talking about a 4-part process where in the material realm, you'd see it as inanimate, vegetation, animal, and human. In north, east, south, west, we see it as this almost like DNA of nature. When you talk about Yahweh or Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, this structure, we see it as just if you put some stuff in the petri dish and watch how it develops, there's a program inside of it that there's a software inside of it. If you take a mango pit and plant it, it's going to turn into a mango tree. There's some software inside of it. So we're saying that the software, the Kabbalists called that software, discovered that software as this code, this DNA code. You're calling it Yahweh. You're deciding that Yahweh now is some vengeful God, some jealous God, and everybody with their small monkey minds, not you, I'm saying back 2,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, yesterday in Brooklyn or whenever, is interpreting it, or in Fallujah is interpreting it as however they think this God is. we're looking at it as something else. So the question then comes back to, how do you take mud and allow that mud to just develop until now and wherever it's going? And why do you think it's going to be a smooth process, first of all? Why wouldn't people be absolutely confused?
I don't think it's a smooth process. That's why so many animals throughout the last, hundreds of millions of years have suffered terribly. And that's why so many have gone extinct. And that's why there's always warfare and so much suffering in the world. Is in your book, what does that say in Hebrew there? Is that
Yud Hey Vav
Yahweh?
Hey. That's the structure.
Yeah, okay.
That's the structure. Yud Hey Vav Hey. So if you were to read it, Yehovah, that's where they get Yahweh from.
So, but it's actually a symbol of a process, right? Where Yod is sort of like the tip of the Yod is the first emanation of something, right? An idea, a concept, a spark, if you will. Then the Yod is that first initial force. The Hey is already, the second letter is already a vessel. It's shaped almost like a vessel. There's like a part that stands here and then something inside of it, right? Like a small part inside of it. That's like a vessel and something inside of it. Then that thing inside of it grows to become its own entity, and eventually the last Hey is like the second Hey, like the first Hey, but it wants to control everything. In a way, it's like
a DNA. It's just a structure.
But that's.
Are you guys atheists? It doesn't seem like you have the orthodox conventional view of
we don't.
The God of Israel.
Yeah, we don't, because here's the thing. I just want to say one word. You said earlier. You said the Jews were doing everything by the book, but the thing is, like, we weren't following it enough. The key word here being enough. It's not about following it enough. It's following it the right way. Torah is from the word Horah, instruction in Hebrew, and that's the biggest misconception. Planted, by the way, by Kabbalists themselves, because humans were not ready. Right, the human desire, the ego was evolving, was developing over time. We were not ready. Now, for the last 400 years or so. But more so nowadays, humans are ready. They're asking questions. They're sort of like waking up to, okay, why am I alive? What am I doing here? What's the purpose of all? Like, these questions, people, for the most part, did not have them, right? 200 years ago. They just lived, you live because you live.
You know the song "Boy Named Sue" by Johnny Cash? I think that's what it's called.
The tune doesn't pop into my head, but
so it's a great song, but it's not a great song. It's a cute song that Johnny Cash wrote, and basically, he's pissed off at his dad throughout the whole song because his whole life he's been beat up for being called Sue. He's a kid, who was a boy named Sue by his father, and he was beat up his whole life. But then I don't remember exactly how it goes. He has some reckoning with his dad, or he remembers, and it turns out his dad knew that he wasn't going to be there to raise him. He had to go off, and whatever had to happen, he had to go work somewhere. He had to go abroad. I don't know what happened. So in order to make sure that his son grew up to be strong and could take care of himself, he named him Sue so that he would become a tough kid and be able to take care of himself. And at the end, he kind of realizes and kind of resolves himself with his dad naming him Sue.
I see what you're getting at. So you're saying that this is the theme of the book, and a very prominent Kabbalah theme, that anti-Semitism is like a necessary force to refine Jews when they're in exile, refine them through the fire, as it says. And the Talmud says that the Jews receive 3 gifts, but only through suffering. That's Eretz Israel, the Torah, and the world to come. And I think this is very a bad worldview to have, actually, to think that any suffering that comes to Jews is because God is punishing you through Esau, and that you just need to follow the Torah the right way. The problem is that there is no right way, because
let's break it down. Hold on, take this whole thing and break it down to one point, and let's deal with one point at a time. Okay. So help us, because we love this. I think that we probably have way more in common. And we just have to kind of calibrate our, it's like 2 waves that are bouncing into each other, and we need to, synchronize them. So like pick one point, not like we can't eat the whale at once. Sure.
So to say that anti-Semitism is a law of nature, and that it's just embedded in we're born, basically, Esau hates Jacob, and Gentiles are born hating Jews and we don't even know why, and that Jews have been hated all over the world since the beginning of time, and this is basically God's plan.
Let's say that the Jews are even anti-Semitic. Let's say that most Jews are also anti-Semitic.
Well, before I say that, Seth, I want to even take a half a step back. Let's just agree on a framework, right? So, do we agree that we exist in a closed system? Is that fair to say?
What does that mean, Leo?
I don't know. We could live in an infinite universe, so it might
no
be
universe, yes,
endless energy, like in Enter the
no.
Zohar.
I agree. I'm saying here on Earth, our little existence, just it kind of feels like a fairly closed system, right? I mean, surrounded by a lot of void. Okay, for the most part.
Sure.
Okay, good. And
we're not making it off the earth as of yet.
Exactly. And in this system, there are forces operating through it, right? That's also fair to say.
Gravity, magnetism, electricity. Okay.
And nuclear forces, this maybe some forces that we haven't seen, right? We agree we live in a system, and we agree that there are forces working through the system. That's a given. Now, we can also assume that this system is evolving, is developing, it's moving towards a certain end. Now, we can argue whether this end is predestined, predefined by some divine entity, or there's simply some sort of evolution to nature. But we can, I think, fairly confidently say that it's not random as shit, as people like to put it, right? It's not a random. We don't live in a totally random.
If you have enough data points, everything is kind of predictable.
I get what you guys are saying. Yeah, it's a combination, not completely random. There's some order and some chaos. If you want to speak Kabbalistically,
forget even about the chaos aspect. Even scientists who look at subatomic particles and how they pop out of existence and out of absence into existence and back, they really talk about their movement as more being of a sort of a dance and interaction, and not this just Brownian randomness, which we used to assign
the positive and the negative forces.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so there's a whole dynamic here, and not only that, it seems as if there are certain, you kind of act a certain way, you exert in a certain direction, you get something in return. If you do certain things, you get maybe pain. Other things, you get pleasure. There's clearly some form of a framework that is pushing everything through it, right? Mm-hmm. We can say that. Good. So now the only question is, the next logical step is, as humans, we're also part of this system, right? We're not somehow above it. The fact that we can, always see exactly how we're moving and interacting and influencing each other. Just like particles and molecules and plants and animals, doesn't exclude us from the system. Correct? We're in the same.
I agree
system.
with that, but the Torah says that Adam is kind of above all of creation.
I know. Yeah. We'll get to the Torah. I'm just setting it up. So this is now. So you can say, instead of forces operating in terms of good and bad or pleasure and pain, you can say laws, right? Laws of nature, right? Mm-hmm. So there are certain laws of nature. You jump, walk off a building, you're going to fall and break your bones. That's just a law of nature. It's not because you were a bad Jew. You're a bad, mass to step off the ledge of a building and fall. So there are laws. Now, the only difference is that Kabbalists say you can call these laws mitzvahs, right? Commandments or laws. It doesn't matter. A scientist, an atheist will say, well, this is just, there's a system and we live in it. A Kabbalist will say, no, there is a purpose. That's the only difference. A Kabbalist says there is a purpose. I've seen the purpose, and I can describe to you where is this all leading to. That's the only difference between a Kabbalist and a everyday scientist. They also talk about system and laws and everything else. Except Kabbalists say this is it is necessary. It is purposeful. Whereas a scientist will say, well, there's just laws, right? That's the only difference. So now, if you put into this system, start to put people and say this group will act this way and this group will act another way, now you start to have this interaction. And humans, being who we are, we start to label things, to ascribe feelings to them and all that. That's the beginning of all the confusion, okay? Because we include our feelings, our emotions in it, and our attitudes onto those laws that we don't even see clearly. That's the basis of all this confusion. So we didn't say, I disagree with anti-Semitism being a law of nature. No, but if we called it in this other name, saying, well, nature moving us in this direction, and all these particles need to start kind of moving together while keeping their differences, right? But somehow moving together, not fighting over resources, but actually collaborating like bacteria does. And if this group of particles doesn't help this process, then the rest of the particles will apply pressure on it. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So this is already
okay? Let me ask you then, because this is where we differ. If say ancient Jews, instead of developing the Torah, they had a religion that was something like Buddhism, do you think that you would have seen the history of anti-Semitism that we've seen?
No, but
We're
So
saying
then
that
it's not
impossible.
a law of nature. It's coming directly from the Torah. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah, but
that
where's
the
it
Torah
coming
says
from?
that.
But where's the Torah coming
the
from?
The Torah predates the world.
No, no.
No, you don't understand what we're talking about when we say Torah. It's two different things.
I mean the Tanakh, the books of
Fine,
Moses.
it doesn't matter. What we're talking about, the Torah, predates the world. The fact that some monkey guy 1,000 years ago decided that it, to interpret it through his perception, the fact that we now open the book and think that it means we need to put something on our door and we need to wear fringes somehow and we're supposed to do this and not do this. That's because, if you tell, well, anyway, that's our misinterpretation of
Here's what the Zohar says, by the way, Seth. It says, when the Creator wished to create the world, he gazed in the Torah and created it, right? But when you anthropomorphize it, when you make the Creator a person and the Torah a book, it sounds funny. But when you understand that there's a force of nature, a law, a force, and it works according to a certain blueprint, that's already less funny, right? It's more...
Say that there is a quality inside of every single human being on earth called Israel, and there's another quality inside of every single other qualities inside of every human being called the nations of the world. Okay? Say inside of every single person.
Mm-hmm.
That's the premise.
It's that in your book you say that it's a Jew is somebody who wants to unite, and a nations is somebody that doesn't. That's right. How you describe
Even
that.
within a person, you take a guy who sits there in front of the Torah all day, but all he has in his heart is separation. The nations of the world rule over the point of Israel inside of him.
It's a hologram. Very simple. So every particle contains the whole. That's not even a Jewish thing. Everybody kind of, if you go deep enough.
We're a small group. The Kabbalists who study from the people like us who have a Kabbalistic teacher who is from an authentic lineage, it's a tiny minority of people. Mm-hmm. It's not like all the Jews understand what we're talking about, or anybody understands what we're talking about.
Do you think everybody else has it wrong and you guys are the only ones that have the true
because
Kabbalah?
Also at the same point, it's like because this is how nature developed it. Here's the thing. How can we, let's just forget about everything. How can we come to adhesion with the force of life, of eternal fulfillment? How? So this is how, through the process we're going through. The point is, though, that now, because we're not just monkeys, we have the ability, for example, you look at a chicken or a monkey or something like that. They can't change quickly from generation to generation. But if you look back at who Adam Green was when he was 18, right? Or even who Adam Green was when he was 30, you probably feel like, I hardly even recognize how much I've changed. Like lifetimes. Right. So the point is that now we're not, but on the other hand, Adam, I'm sure there's other people who you look at who are stuck in the same revenge story, or they're stuck in the same heartbreak story, or they're stuck in the same whatever for decades or their whole life. So the point is that we have the ability to go through all of these changes now, but we don't have to wait for another to clothe again as another monkey, and then baby monkey, and then grandson monkey, and great grandson monkey, and it takes thousands and thousands of years to progress. We can progress in our lifetime. We can go through 1,000 lifetimes within one corporeal life. That's what we're talking about, is how to seize that system, how to grab onto this process of development here,
accelerate basically
in order to take us to that. Our goal is this kind of unity of humanity, but even more, like you said, Adam is above nature. the what is the Garden of Eden, that we're aspiring to? What does it mean? Like a lot of pretty girls on the beach, tons of money in your pocket, and sitting on the beach in Costa Rica? Is that the end goal? What is the end goal? I'm married with 5 kids, with sheep and chickens outside. Is that the end goal? When we think about what's the best possible outcome I can think of. All right, I have a farm, no vaccines, chickens outside, sheep outside, a cow outside, my children running around, in handmade cotton clothes or wool clothes, and plenty of money in my bank. What is the best possible thing we could think of? What we're talking about is not something, of like that on Earth. Even, of course, that's progressing, but what we're really talking about is how can we, this life, it's like it says in Psalms that this life is a dream. This whole reality is like a dream.
You guys are dreaming for the utopian Kabbalistic messianic age in a way, right?
On the one hand, we're very practical people. We have families, we work, we pay our internet bills, all that kind of regular stuff. On the other hand, a Kabbalist develops a second perception. Our goal is some kind of reality, which we don't know what it will look like, but some reality where we reach some kind of adhesion with the force of love and connection. That's our goal.
And I'm all for that. And your guys' Kabbalah seems like almost a reformed contemporary version that is kind of like a little bit new age self-help, but for society type of thing. And I find that commendable. I can agree. I agreed with a lot of the things in your book, but I feel like, traditional Kabbalists would say that you guys are heretical. And that's where the problem is that you guys say we need more Kabbalah to fix anti-Semitism and to tikkun olam, to heal the world. But it seems like Kabbalists can't agree on what true Kabbalah is, and Judaism can't agree what true Judaism is. Christianity, right. Every time I try to criticize a Christian, some other Christian pops up and goes, that's not a real Christian. So because God doesn't speak to us, and because the Torah was written a few thousand years ago and didn't exist before Earth's creation, and nobody can agree. You can't solve anti-Semitism with more Judaism. It's like throwing more fuel on the fire, essentially. And like you guys don't follow the 613 mitzvahs, or you'd be wearing you wouldn't have trimmed beards at all. So,
well, okay, so there's a lot of things there, but the problems we're painfully aware of, and that's okay. We're not trying to do this on our own, so to speak. In other words, again, not to sound mystical, if there is a certain natural progression of things, a certain trajectory, then it like a certain stream, right? Like the Gulf Stream going through the ocean, right? Then joining that stream will give you, extra push. So we're kind of working off of that. And so far, things that we're doing, they sort of they track with what's happening around us. Like you can see how we can talk about any problem in the world and explain it not through like the wrath of God or through some mythology or something, but rather through an understanding of the interaction between the pieces in the system. So we can talk about that. We can understand human behavior and like that trajectory by understanding desire being the foundation of everything, right? That's the only thing that was created, a desire. So the things that we're dealing with are not things where, and that's kind of I feel like where we differ both from scientists and from religious people, the dogma people. We're given certain ideas, and the Kabbalists say, okay, try it. Try to make sense of it. Don't believe me. Try to do it. Don't believe anything. Faith is not a sense of blind belief in something. It's actually a name for a quality that you acquire, a certain force that you can work with. Okay, so you'll find that in Kabbalah, one of those things is how everything is coded in this way. Everything it stands for something. It's called root and branch, right? So the branches, the words of this world, they sound very familiar. So we immediately, make them sort of visualize them and materialize them because that's how we read them. But Kabbalists just use these words to describe the inner forces, the inner processes that are happening. And that's, again, another point of confusion. So I'm not trying to argue with every Kabbalist or every Jew out there. I'm simply saying, and I'm not trying to add more Jews, by the way. No, what we're trying to say is, look, guys, there is a certain trajectory. As long as humanity will go against that trajectory, we'll suffer. Very simple. Unless we band together against the destructive influences of the human ego, we'll go into Third World War and Fourth, and so on and so forth. That's really what we're saying. So it's not like believe in some mythical god. It's more like, look what's happening, and let's use our eyes and see what's actually destroying people. And by the way, it's the same quality, the same ego that works on different levels, that provides it, that creates the destructive effects of religion, is the result of that. Religion, by the way, played a very important role, as Seth was talking about the dust. I wanted to say, keep it more, just as far as moving people from one state of existence to another. Religion was great for that. So for a certain period of time, religion, in all of its kind of incarnations, was really good. But now it's sort of it's okay to keep the customs, but the concept of religion is not working anymore. People can.
Do you think Christianity has been good?
Yeah, sure. With all the destruction that it brought to the world, it still was a necessary part
with
of
all the corruption, with all the destruction, with all the well, it would have been better if we didn't need any of these. But but how?
Look, it all goes back to the Creator says, it says in the book of Job, right? The Creator says, I've created the evil inclination. So in other words, Kabbalists will tell you, the Creator didn't create anything good.
The only thing the Creator created was the evil inclination.
Yeah, an egoistic desire, basically. That's what was created. So don't be surprised, not you, I'm saying like to anyone here, don't be surprised when you look around and everything is falling apart. That was the plan. The question is how quickly we, intelligent people, will wake up and say, whoa, this is a one-way street.
How can you get the dirt to realize that they need something good?
How long are we going to keep driving on this road to hell before we wake up and like, we got to.
And a cow can't do that, and a sunflower can't do that, and a hydrogen atom can't do that, and a person, most people wearing clothes are maybe not prepared to do that, but there are people who are saying, wait a second, everywhere I look, it looks broken. Everything these people that we engage in, I can't trust the doctors. I can't trust the politicians. I don't like how the schools are educating my kids. My food is full of poison. Everyone around me is fat. Everyone around me is in debt. It looks like we're headed towards World War III. They're bullshitting me about oil. They're bullshitting me about solar. There's so much money. There's so much land. There's so much food. There's so much of everything. Why is everything broken? Why is everything, like, these are the fair questions. And most people, through whatever means, are able to kind of keep those questions
suppressed.
Through Dunkin' Donuts or through TikTok or through Netflix. Like but they're coming out and watch Netflix is not the point. The point is that there's plenty of things. What'd you say, Leo?
I said, but they're coming out. I mean, it's everything is coming to light, so to speak. Again, no pun intended. But that's really the age we live in now. But it's important to say, nature's plan, trajectory, whatever, it will reach its goal. The only question is, are we going to accelerate it? And
are we going to do 1,000 lifetimes within this life, or are we going to wait for another beating and another pogrom and another Holocaust and another this and another this?
Yeah, we can accelerate it, or and avoid a lot of the suffering, or in other words, you can tolerate, let's say, the mental anguish, the emotional anguish of dealing with your ego, basically. Or you can kind of face with the outcome of this of the ego, what the ego is bringing to the world. So war, you have to fight, right? You have to be in war. But what kind of war? Is it going to be weapons and nukes, or is it going to be emotional, mental war? That's really the whole internality, externality thing that's happening here.
Preferably mental.
Yeah,
you guys have mentioned ego a few times. That's kind of why you guys come off as new agey to me. A lot about unity and ego and stuff. You sound like Eckhart Tolle, basically.
I mean,
but speaking of ego, you guys say that you want to get rid of your that's what Kabbalah is like kind of losing the ego. But
no, not losing. No, overcoming
the ego.
The ego remains, and the more you develop, the bigger the ego gets. So
Mhm.
it doesn't go anywhere.
I think that this is flawed because I consider it egotistical to believe that you are chosen for a special divine status to heal the nations and to heal the world.
You're right.
I think
I-
that's
You're right.
egotistical
You're
in
right.
itself.
It is egotistical.
Mhm.
It is egotistical. Egotistical. And
the
you
question
show
is-
me any person who's not doesn't go ahead, Leo.
No, I was just going to ask a question. Okay, let's say it wasn't us, but someone has to start it, right? Do you agree? I mean, every change in nature starts with, it doesn't happen, spontaneously. There's no such thing, right? Imaginal cells in the caterpillar, right? Hormones in the body hitting puberty. There's always a small group that initiates a bigger change. Even to blow up a nuclear bomb, you have to still blow up some good old fashioned TNT before you get the nuclear reaction going, right? You always need a catalyst. So the question is, who's going to be the catalyst?
Adam asked a fair
We
question.
could all be the catalyst together.
How?
Considering that you're like it says in the Torah, the nation of priests are above the other nations and ascending in fame and honor, and the idea that like you guys have a secret esoteric
who's us
mystical
guys? Who is us guys?
Well,
You can't find two Jews who agree.
this I agree, but this leads into another question: is how do you guys have your story of Abraham and what a Jew actually is differs from the story I'm understood? Because I thought it was God comes to Abraham, he says he's going to have a covenant, he's going to give him a son, and he's going to have many generations and many descendants, and that's who the Jews are through the line of Jacob.
And Abraham asks even, how do I know that it's going to happen? And God said, what did he say? I'm going to put you and your children in Egypt.
You'll be
right?
slaves for 400 years, like the Boy Named Sue song.
Right. Now, this whole story, you can...
By the way,
I
once
didn't
God
finish my
tells
question,
him,
though. I didn't finish my question. Let me give the second part of it. And you guys in the book, and I've seen Rabbi Laitman say this also, that Abraham came out of Babylon and he had this idea for unity, and all these diverse people followed him, and that's what the Jews are. That seems like a conflicting origin story of the Jewish people. So
no, what conflicting with what?
Because one story in the Torah says that it's Abraham's descendants, and then the other one is you guys are saying that it's Abraham and all these other people from Babylon.
Right. But descendants, see, so this is where the language becomes a barrier.
Father, son, what does father, son mean? What does descendant mean?
Yeah, I mean,
all these things.
Descendant means your lineage, your kids.
No, not your.
If you're reading the spiritual manual, what does it mean in the language of roots and branches?
It's your new desires that you beget. Like you correct something, and now you have a more refined desire. The whole Torah. I mean, if you look into Kabbalistic books, it's all like pornography. It's all like sex and coupling, right? And a
lot of anti-nation sentiment,
right? Because those nations of the world, those are the uncorrected desires, and they go through the same process of nations of the world, convert, proselyte, convert, and then Israel, and then even in Israel.
Adam, look, put this one down in your notebook. This is by one of our friends who wrote it. He goes through the first few verses of Genesis and explains it in Kabbalistic language.
Right.
The secrets of the eternal book.
Yeah. So
check this one out.
So I mean,
KabbalahBooks.com, I think. And if you need a free PDF of it, I'll find one for you.
The irony is that it's exactly that misunderstanding of the text, which was later then translated and misunderstood in other languages, which gave birth to then, you could say, Christianity and to some extent also Islam. So you could say this whole thing was not just one big misunderstanding. Yes. Or was it just, again, a necessary part of the evolution? Like there was no other way. It's almost like whenever we go to a lesson, we always like, okay, you know what, put yourself in the shoes of the creator. You're the creator of the world, and you're trying to do something really that hasn't been done before, right? You're all bestowal, you're all giving, you're all this positivity, you're an all being, all giving, right? Omnipotent, omnipresent, you're filling everything. There's nothing besides you, and you want to give some of this goodness to something, right? Now you start from there. That's kind of how a Kabbalistic discussion really starts, okay? You start from that point. Put yourself in the shoes of the creator, as it were. What would you do? And you go, all right.
I wouldn't choose one group of people and
no,
and
but
say that
fair,
they're going to
but
be hated by all the other nations, and that they're going to have to be suffer and be persecuted. I wouldn't have that be a divine plan.
I know that upon first review of the script, it seems a little harsh. However,
that's why it's so flawed. This is the same argument I have with Christians, is that these ancient scriptures are so flawed that they're incredibly misinterpreted. There's really no real Torah, because everybody reads into it what they want, and there's no voice coming down from the heavens telling you exactly with clarity what he really wants. Same problem with the Zohar. Stuff is so complex and,
Adam,
and
hold on,
mysterious
speak to
and hard to
the-
understand, that
the
why
book-
would they even hide all of these important things so cryptically?
it's
it's a good question.
these are great questions. When you read the orange book, You Are Here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did it seem clear, or did that also seem confusing and convoluted?
Some of it was a little bit confusing, but what I got is that, like, you could have written that book even like just coming up with your own thoughts, or reading other philosophy books, or other things. You didn't necessarily need the Zohar. I know you based it on the Zohar, or the teachings of the Zohar, and removed all of the biblical, complex things. But a lot of it just seemed like, philosophical thoughts that anybody could have come up with without Judaism.
Fair enough.
There's a lot of good questions. I feel like
They're
it's
really good questions.
just opening up. I think I just want to make this comment that some of those questions, they're not like they can be answered with like a one-liner. It's part of the reason why we study what we study, is because through the study you begin to understand all those things. It's not this is the reason, goodbye. No, it's more like, it's kind of like it's a little like the difference between. Do you have kids, Adam?
I do. Yeah, I have a.
So it's a little like
daughter.
the difference. What's that?
A 2-year-old daughter.
Okay, so it's a little like the difference between talking to someone about, talking to you and another child, another kid friend of yours, talking about, if I were a parent, then it's like candy all day long and no school and all video, right? Like you have these dreams of how you see the world, and then you become a parent, and suddenly this whole thing changes. So part of the process of studying Kabbalah is kind of making you more apparent, again, excuse the pun, but more apparent to yourself, and you start to see things in a way. It's like, okay, I don't understand why the creator or that force or nature planned it in this way. Seems a little harsh, but maybe I don't have all the information, and maybe it had to go through this step and that step and that. So it's a process of kind of retracing our steps to understand why we even arrived at this really fucked up looking situation. And it's, by the way, not everyone has those questions. Not everyone wants to be a doctor. A lot of people just want to know, okay, just tell me what's the good diet that I have to follow, and I'll be done, right? Do I have to take this vitamin or that vitamin? So most people are like that. You sounds like you have like doctor questions, and those questions, I don't have satisfactory answers to all of them in like within the time limit that we have. It's just it's hard to change. It's hard to grow a human as an independent creature without all these kind of twists and turns. Let's put it this way. Nature.
If we looked back on our own lives, and we think of heartbreaks and we think of hard times, those are the times now in reflection where we got the most amount of growth, the most amount of understanding of life. Wow, I didn't know until that happened. I didn't know people could be like that. Or like, before that, I was depressed. I didn't think that I was going to get past this. And now, like, I look who I am now, and I look back at who I was then, and I can't see that. So we see that the more we go through these difficult times, that's where we really grow. And if you take people and you put them through hundreds of years of slavery and through pogroms, and if you make people go through something, then that refines them and develops them. Now, The goal, though, is that we don't need to go through all of that suffering like that. The goal is that we all, and it's not just Jewish people who suffered. There's, 100. How many people did Stalin kill? How many people did Mao kill? It's like 100 million people or more. There's people who Boko Haram or whoever it is, kidnapping a whole village of girls. What goes on? People's hands cut off with machetes. It's like the Jews don't have some monopoly on suffering. The point is, though, that this tiny group did go through, just like a lot of other people went through horrible things, the gulags and everything else. This group went through it and kind of stayed. So they went through some development. Okay, whatever that means. But now we don't need to do that again. We should be having conversations like this every day. We should be, how many people are out there finding people who disagree with them and trying to have dialogues and trying to come to understandings? That's what we want to do. We want to not have to go through, we want for all of humanity to not have to go through these sufferings anymore.
That's what you guys want, but I read on Chabad's website that
we don't stand for Chabad. We don't speak for Chabad.
I know.
We don't speak for everyone
Do you guys
else.
condemn Chabad? Because
no, we don't condemn anybody.
We don't condemn. No, everybody's doing the best they can.
Hold on, you don't have to condemn them. Can you concede that there's supremacist and some dark, alarming views that some Kabbalists have, and some
I'll concede that. I'll concede that the worst idea that you can have in your head. Everybody has terrible ideas. I'll concede to that. Of course, there's no one holy.
No one has a monopoly on being a creep and being evil. Everyone. Yeah. It doesn't matter from where.
Yeah. And again, I'm speaking from being born into this. I also don't understand why things were done in this way. Why there has to be this group, this one group and this.
Why did he choose you to be hated?
What's that?
Why did he choose you to be hated? That's something that Dennis Prager said. He goes, "If I would have known that Jews would be hated this much, I would not want to be chosen." But I think that's.
Did you have such an easy life your whole life?
I had a pretty easy life, yeah.
You did? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a bad example then.
I do get a lot of hate from Christians now, though, and from Jews. I don't like how I asked this in the beginning. Does it make me anti-Semitism? I hate that word because that's saying that you hate Jews racially. I'm not an anti-Semite, but I am a critic of religion. I am anti-Yahweh. I think he's a genocidal, jealous, fictional monster. I am anti-Torah because I see that I find it supremacist. I find it anti-Gentile. I find it condones slavery and all types of stuff.
So just cleansing. So just on the Torah, Yahweh is maybe a little above our pay grade.
Okay. Can you just tell me though before you move? Does it make me bad if I oppose Judaism?
No, it's just you feel what you feel.
Isn't it a belief that anybody that opposes Judaism is basically Amalek?
No, Amalek
I've heard lots of rabbis say.
Listen, I'm sure you heard rabbis say a lot of weird things.
What is Amalek in your guys' view then?
Amalek is an acronym, is an abbreviation. It's an acronym for Al Menat Lekabel. Al Menat Ayin Mem Lamed.
What does that mean?
In order to receive. It's the incorrect intention on the desire.
The ego that everybody has inside of them that hasn't been corrected in order to wanting everything for my own benefit, that I still have to want things. But
I've heard it's doubt also.
No.
The idea of doubting God is basically an Amalek thought.
No, it's simply there's a desire, which is the matter of everything, and there's an intention, which is the form of everything. Okay, everything in nature is matter and form, right? Desire and intention, and the desire is already created in order to receive. That's what a desire is. I want to receive pleasure, right? I was created by some force that wants to give pleasure, so he created me as a force that can receive pleasure. Great. The intention that I have now, which is inseparable from my desire, is also in order to receive. So I'm a desire to receive pleasure in order to receive. Everything I do is kind of feeding back to me, right? For me.
Pleasure and pain, yeah.
Yeah, so maximum pleasure.
That's part of your book that I definitely agree with.
Right, so maximum pleasure
seeking and pain avoiding.
So maximum pleasure, minimum pain, at the expense of everyone and everything. If given the opportunity, most people will, if there was no, social construct and shaming and other things and consequences, they'll just, free for all. That's how what was created. what we're trying to do, or what humans are invited to try to do, is to change the intention. The desire you cannot change. Your desire to receive pleasure, that's your program, your matter, whatever. The intention can change. That's the one that when we talk in the Torah about killing it, it's that. It's killing, meaning rendering useless. Okay, that's what killing means. To kill means to render useless. Do not use it. So all of that stuff that you say about Yahweh and the Torah, I get it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. It's the sort of more mythical interpretation of these scriptures, which again was necessary. It's like a child when you tell them, don't go outside, there's a bear. You know, like you make all these dramatic stories. That's what people need because they're
so it's
children.
like to believe in a fictional, but to believe it literally happened. Like Seth, I shared a clip from your first the first video of your series, Enter the Zohar, yesterday. Did you see that? I shared it on Twitter.
No, I didn't see
I think I saw it.
It's the clip where you talk about like is Kabbalah a conspiracy? People and you had a line in there about like, is it using these Bible myths to control the people or something like that? I like that line. Yeah, that is basically what I say that it is. And this goes back to like Plato's noble lie, to like you have for the masses of people, they can't comprehend the esoteric mystical secrets. So they need to just, in order to keep them in line and behaving, they have to have a literal story to believe.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. So for thousands of years, humans were developing, that ego was growing. People needed myths and religions and all kinds of constructs. And now people are ready to start, shedding off those constructs. And that's why your natural inclination against them is correct. The thing is, don't throw the bath water with the baby, right? It's like that view is correct, but the thing itself.
But definitely don't believe us until
But I'm just saying. But what the Torah is Torah from the word hora'ah, instruction. It's a blueprint. Except it's hard to read. Without an instructor, a guide, a teacher, it's hard.
A blueprint for what? What is the Torah blueprint for?
For changing for becoming Adam. Adam from the word domeh, similar to the Creator. Becoming.
The point is, there's some force, and we're getting towards the end of our time. Also, guys, we have to.
Yeah.
There's some force that is, lighting every star, billions upon billions of stars. There's some force. There's endless energy, and yet all of us are empty and suffering.
We can change it.
So what is that? So the point is that how do we come to some degree, but the issue is, as in our current state, in order to enjoy anything, if you're full, you can't enjoy a meal. So in the current state we're in, you need to be empty in order to enjoy the meal. I need to want sex in order to enjoy sex. I need to want that car in order to enjoy getting that car. Like everything in this degree that we're on now, in this natural degree, I have to suffer from not having something in order to enjoy having it. So what we're saying, so what it means is that Adam is above, like you mentioned before, all of that is like how the degree of that force is where the plus and the minus are in harmony together. And it's not this.
It's simply, in simple words, we're connecting those vessels, those limited vessels. So now you can continue receiving endlessly in a way, because you keep also giving. The problem right now, because of our one-sided intention, humans are only
Amalek.
Yeah, this Amalek thing is only take. Different degrees of that, right? From the average person to all the way to the president of the United States. They're all the same machines, except this guy wants more.
Esau and Amalek both represent the evil inclination?
Yes.
Is there any difference between them?
Yes, there are, but it's like and that's where the thing comes into the Torah is.
Amalek can't be rectified, and comes
Amalek
from
cannot be rectified. No,
the three satanic spheres.
Yeah, Amalek cannot be rectified. It has to be again.
But Esau is also something very special.
Asiyah is from the word asiyah, to do. Esav is a kind of desire in you that wants to tell me what to do. I'll do it. I'll get something in return. I'm happy. Okay, it's kind of like
each of these characters is a quality inside of us,
right? But hey, listen.
Let me ask one question to you guys before we close it out. I have to ask this last question. There's a clip, I've shown it in some of my videos. It's circulated around on the internet. your guys' mentor, Rabbi Laitman, saying that he's speaking to a university students in Israel, and he says that they're divine, that Jews are divine sparks of light, and that they're coming together to conquer the world. That's what he said. Can you explain what that means to you guys? Are you familiar with that? You might have translated it.
Is it to students in Israel? Are you sure it's not?
Yeah, they're speaking in not
Hebrew?
English. Yeah.
Well, no, he speaks Hebrew all the time because he doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
But I don't remember this clip, but it's always the same story. You know, if you're a Jew, and this is
He says we're from another dimension. We're light from another dimension.
He's used all kinds of, you know, if you
aliens.
It's like Jews. They could be aliens.
Well, this is what I've learned in Kabbalah, that you guys are the divine sparks of life, and that
but Adam,
Gentiles
so
are likened
so is every
to the
person.
Kelipa.
It's inside of each person.
Every person has that spark.
You know, but actually, that's not what my understanding. Like in Kabbalah and Meditation for the Nations.
By who?
Who's that book? I don't know.
Rabbi Yitzhak Ginsburg, who was under the Rebbe.
No,
Sorry.
come on. It's like if I quote some Southern Baptist and I say that I'm saying it's the same as you, or if I could, you know.
Right. Well, I understand not everybody, you guys don't agree with all these things, but
that's the thing. But
acknowledge that this is what they believe. He says that Jews have the divine spark in them, while Gentile souls, the divine spark hovers above. And there's also in the Tanya and in Chabad, it says that our souls emanate from the Sitra Atra, from the evil other side, and your guys' souls come from the right hand side. Ours is from the left.
We have
the
no
darkness.
choice but to take
Jacob
this guy
and Esau.
through like a whole Kabbalistic education crash course. Because
you guys ought to watch
no
my video on Kabbalah, and then you can see. I present all the books that I've read, where I'm learning these things, like what's Sefer Yetzirah, Secret History of the Zohar, Kabbalah secrets Christians need to know.
Oh my!
Heavenly Powers.
Make a section of your
one.
bookshelf of stuff that I used until I found, you know, what I really needed to find.
All right, look. So listen, we'll have to wrap it up for this time.
Impressive dude here.
Yeah. No.
Oh jeez.
You sent me that book, Adam. You sent me that book.
I did. That's right.
Yeah.
Christopher John Bjerknes. You guys should talk to him too. I learned all this stuff
book
basically
because
from
I
him.
either heard you or somebody else talking about it. I bought it. I could not believe how confused this guy is.
So we'll wrap up today, but I think we'll talk more. I mean, we'd love to come to your show again. You can come to our our talk and talk.
I got plenty more we could talk about.
Plenty more we could talk about. I think if there was one, I would love to end with just you kind of make a wish. We love to sometimes hear our guests just make a wish. You know, it's the start of a new year. Things are not great around the world. What's your wish for this year?
I wish that the world could transcend these ancient superstitions and not try to salvage them and hold on to them and put lipstick on a pig. And I think a lot of the division, the unnecessary division that have come from the Abrahamic faith, I don't think we need to say this to solve the problem of the division in the wars and the differences between the three Abrahamic faiths is to come together and fulfill the prophecies. I don't want to go down the road of fulfilling prophecies because I feel like these aren't real prophecies. They're self-fulfilling or they're engineered. It's a blueprint that they're following and manifesting themselves. So that would be my wish. And I wish more Kabbalists, more Jews out there would be like you guys and have this kind of reformed, contemporary, more palatable view on things. That would be a lot better. And you guys do an excellent job too, like your production value on that Enter the Zohar with opening the book and the light exploding and the editing, and your book was very aesthetically pleasing too. It's nice to read a book where it's like
full of pictures,
not just words on every single page. And even your hubs and nodes video, you did a very good job on that. I wish I had your guys' skills at getting my message out. You guys seem very passionate about sharing your ideology with the world, and I hope to talk with you guys again.
Thanks, Adam.
It's a deal.
Really
We'll talk
appreciate
again.
talking to you as well.
Yes, we really enjoyed talking to you. Like I said before, I wish it didn't take us so long, but Not that we're on, that's it. This train is unstoppable. So thanks for coming to the Jew Function. We're the Jew Function. For everyone watching, like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, and we'll have more talks, interesting talks, eye-popping talks, I promise. So thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.